Good morning. So I love that we can see the embodied head over there. That's pretty hilarious. All right, so let's back that up a little bit. You don't need to see my kitchen. Let's done with dishes. So let's go live over here. All right, live there. Look, there's Boba. Boba is ready to practice yoga. And Karma needs her cameo. I feel like that's too close. All right. That should do. You're getting the tray. All my Halloween decorations are prominently featured this morning. Hi, Sandy. Good morning. All right. Got a couple people over on YouTube. Good morning to the puppies. Oh, hang on. I got a little bit more light. I got a fancy little phone stand over here. You guys would be really proud of me. It only took like a year, I think we've been doing these. All right, so good morning. Boba's like the perfect model. You guys, where are we over here? Okay, so I think I'm ready. Finally, and I'm late, of course. I'm crooked. I got the fancy thing so I wouldn't be crooked. All right. So today I've got just a couple of announcements. I've been talking about a little bit more intensive program that I want to whip up, but I think I'm going to hold off on that piece and work a transition. So there will be on my website, there's already, of course, Karma's going to get worked up now. There's already, of course, my monthly memberships, my yearly memberships, which give you access to special classes and some pranayama practices, just quickie 5 minutes, the meditation practices that I've got up there, that gives you access to that. There's a workshop in there right now, the 8 Limbs of Yoga. So if you're interested in applying a little bit more of the philosophy to your asana, our asana, the poses on the mat, are not the only way we can practice yoga, right? So if you're sidelined with an injury or for whatever reason, you're just not feeling it, sometimes it's like a physical yoga practice is just not gonna happen, right? So you feel all bummed out that you can't practice yoga. Well, you actually can. There's so many things available to you. There's even things that aren't even necessarily about you. Karma yoga is about working for the community or someone other than yourself. So that's still practicing yoga, which is really great. But in the interim, I'm actually going to put in a couple of workshops, just hour-and-a-half long classes that focus a lot on breathing and meditation. So it's going to be yoga. I'll still practice asana, but we're going to talk about meditation and how we can incorporate that and our breathing exercises onto the mat. So those will be up there as well. They'll be up there individually and as a package. And if you sign up for the package, you'll get a little extra hour-and-a-half class, which we don't normally do an hour-and-a-half. If you practice in a studio, you get an hour-and-a-half. That's just the way it is there. But from the fitness environment where I'm primarily focused, it's hour long pretty much. So yeah, that's what I got coming up. You'll find that on the website. Hopefully this week I'll get that up. So if you're interested, take a peek. Anitayoga.com, I'm sure you know by now. All right, and today we're going to focus on working into our hips. We'll work into our shoulders, and then of course get a really great shavasana at the end. So no matter what your body does for that 55-ish minutes, you lay down for 5 minutes and it's like the world is all picture perfect and rosy again. Right? And even your body is good, right? So let's go. let's get onto the mat. We're going to start up in Virasana. So up on the heels like I just was, if you can see me. And if you have a block, you're welcome to use that any day, any pose, right? But especially in Virasana, that can be a little tough on your knees or maybe say on your ankles. So we prop the butt up a little higher, however high you need to. So if you're using a stack of books, you can make it as high as you want, right? Or a blocker, whatever you're using. And in Virasana here, ideally, the knees and ankles and hips are pretty much aligned, right? Sometimes you'll see where the knees are really close together and the feet are far apart, or because it's not an easy place, a lot of people want to have their knees very wet. We want to make sure that there's an alignment here, right? So just listen to your body and adjust as you need. If this is not a happy place for you, don't worry about it. Sit on your butt, right? If you couldn't possibly prop your butt up high enough to make this okay, then that's where you are and that's where you are, right? So let's sit here, and it's easier if your legs will cooperate, of course, to sit up tall here. The pelvis can be upright a little bit easier. So activate your belly, lift the pelvic floor, lower belly in and up, sitting tall through the sides. Relax your shoulders, go ahead and close your eyes. Find the length of your spine. So you're rooted down into your pelvis, you're extending out through the crown of your head. And just be present in your body for a moment. Notice how you're feeling this morning. Your ankles or your knees or your hips are already talking to you. Again, modify those. Eventually making your way to a nice, full, just beyond comfortable breath. And we want to keep the awareness in this place. And even as we move through our poses, the mind is quiet and focused on what it's supposed to be doing here. Let's extend the arms out to the sides, and on the next inhale, stretch them up toward the ceiling. And exhale, bring them back down again. Let's go again, inhale. Exhale. One more time. And then nice and easy from here. You can open your eyes or not, maybe come forward, bringing yourself into an all fours position. So move your prop. Allow your feet to maybe tap on the floor. Stretch your legs if you feel like you need to stretch your legs here. And then coming to a center, wrists under shoulders, hands nice and even into the mat. Let's just flow with the breath here. On an inhale, drop the belly toward the floor. Exhaling, round the spine toward the ceiling. Follow your breath in and out. Moving gently through the spine. Take one more flow like that. And then find a center. Belly's in, shoulders are neutral on the spine. We're going to take the knees back and come to kneeling plank. So simply holding here, we aren't going to do anything fancy just yet. If you want to stay on your knees, you stay on your knees. If you want to lift the knees away from the floor, give that a go. Press through the heels, extend out through the crown of the head, or the knees if you're on your knees, of course. So the spine is long, the body is active, even though we're not doing anything. And then from here, let's go ahead and make our way into down dog. So let yourself just kind of wiggle and stretch. And then find your full pose, whatever that might look like for right now. Sinking the heels toward the floor, pressing the chest back, letting your head hang between your arms. And then instead of sinking the heels, go ahead and come up on the toes. We're going to drop the heels over to the left. So press down nice and firm through your right hand. Keep pressing your chest back towards your thighs. Feeling the stretch up the right side of the body. Come on back to the center. Let's take the second side. So drop the heels right. Keep the left hand on the mat. And then come on back to center again. From here, let's shift forward, come back into our plank. And then down to the knees, elbows tight to the sides, everything hits the mat together. Bend your elbows and drop down. So the hands are next to the side ribs. We're just gonna roll into our shoulders a little bit. And on the inhale, pull your shoulders up by your ears, together on your back, down toward your hip bones, and then exhale, release. Nice, easy little shoulder rolls, keeping the elbows in. And the hands don't have to do anything just yet. They will in a minute. One more time like that. Get into the shoulders as much as they're gonna be for right now. And then release. Working into that position a little bit deeper. Keep the elbows hugged in. We're gonna roll into our shoulders. Pull with the hands, find a little bit of extra space in your spine. And then maybe press. So take it nice and gentle here. Keeping the arms pulling toward the hips. Feel your triceps. And then release on back down. Keeping the elbows in, we're gonna make our way up off the floor, everything together maybe. Back to kneeling plank. And then nice and gentle, all the way back into child's pose. Let's make our way into all fours again. And from here, go ahead and take the left hand, palm face up, dropping down either to your forearm or all the way down to your shoulder. So make sure your spine feels long. You don't want to be leaning on your head, you want to be leaning on your shoulder. Feeling even across the knees, make the spine nice and long here. And then maybe work into a little bit deeper twist if you're ready for that yet. Pressing down into the left arm, pressing down into the right fingertips. So that right elbow points up at the ceiling, and in your head anyway, feel like you're stacking your right shoulder on top of your left. And just feel the action of the arms. Work yourself into this little bit deeper twist. If you want to lift the right arm and lift the right toes up off the floor, you're always welcome to make those variations or those adjustments. Just feeling a nice twist. And then gently releasing yourself out of that. And then working to the second side. So take your time, the right palm underneath, elbow or shoulder to the mat. Play with it a little bit here, see what you want to add, what you don't need to add yet. Using the arms, extending the left arm maybe. Taking one more breath in whatever variation you've chosen. And then gently making your way back into your all fours again. Back to down dog. And then walking the feet to the hands, let's have the standing fold. So feet up underneath the hip bones, maybe walk in place a little bit here. Taking the fingers to interlace behind the back. You can leave a little bend in your knees or they can be straight here wherever you want to be. Pull the shoulder blades together on the back and stretch your hands away from your shoulders. Let them lift if they do. Don't necessarily make that the goal. Gently releasing the hands back to the mat. Sliding the hands up to the thighs for support if you'd like, maybe up to the hips if you don't really need that. We're gonna come halfway up and hold in the middle. So the belly's in, the shoulders are back. And on an inhale, we're gonna come all the way up to standing. So go ahead and release your hands. Take those hands to the lower back for a little bit of support. If you don't feel like you need that and you want to interlace your fingers behind your back here, that's totally fine. But do what you need. It's a little early, so just do what's right for you. Belly's in, shoulders are pulling together on the back, and then we're lifting the chest up toward the ceiling. So we're creating that space like we did when we were in Cobra, the pull, that idea here. So a gentle, easy little back bend. And if you want to make it bigger, you make it bigger. Try not to shove your pelvis forward. Keep the lower back long, the back of the neck long. Any pinching here is a sign that something went wrong. We're going to take one more breath in our back bend. And then gently make your way back up. Releasing your hands. Let's take the hands back to the thighs here, coming forward into our half fold. Pause for a moment. Lean on the legs as much as you need so your belly is working, protecting your back. And then let yourself come over into your full fold and just hang again for a moment. Bringing the hands back to the thighs. Leaning on the legs if you need, the upper body's parallel to the floor. So there's a straight line from the crown of your head back through your heels. Try not to let your knees bend or your hips sit back or your spine round. Okay, that's going to want to be what happens here, but work to keep the spine and the hips neutral. So lean if you need to lean and make that happen. Arms down by your sides otherwise. Adding just a little bit of body weight. If that's enough, that's enough. You can take the arms out to the sides, stretching through your fingertips here. Or you can stretch your arms forward. That straight line from the fingertips, head, shoulders, and hips, right? The knees don't bend, the spine doesn't round, the hips don't sit back, right? If that starts to happen, just take your hands back a little bit, right? Find where you can maintain your alignment. Take one more breath. And then make your way into chair. So bend into the knees. The hands are where they are, right? You come center, you can have them extended. It's easier here to have them extended. We're gonna take one more breath. And then on the inhale, stretch to the ceiling. With the exhale, release the arms. So from the top of the mat here, on an inhale, let's stretch those arms up toward the ceiling. With the exhale, take yourself over into a fold. Inhaling, come halfway up. Exhale, right foot back, lunge.
And then wiggle around into your hips a little bit here. You can always have the right knee on the mat if you need it down. Find a center then. Imagine sweeping your legs toward each other up underneath the body. And then let's take the left leg straight. So finding a nice stretch here, again, right knee on the mat if you need the variation. You can use your block to prop up. You can use your shin. You don't have to get fancy. A little more challenging for the balance maybe, but that's not a bad thing. And then we're gonna bend into the knee and step back into down dog. On an inhale, shift yourself forward, come to plank. Knees, if you'd like knees, drop on down to the belly. Hands next to the side ribs, we roll, pull, press to our cobra, and then release. Exhaling, make your way up and back, down dog. We're gonna step the right foot forward, toes to the fingers. Back knee variation again here if you want. Roll around into your hips here. Finding that center. Sweep the legs toward each other when you're ready. Right leg straight. Propping if you need to prop. It's really easy for the spine to round here to compensate for the length of the hamstring. So if you need to prop up, prop up. Save your back. Bending back into the knee, we'll step forward into fold. On an inhale, come halfway up. Exhale back over again. Come all the way up, stretching to the ceiling. And exhaling to release. So let's go again. Inhale and lift. Exhale into the fold. Halfway up. Let's step back first here with the left foot lunge. Sweeping the legs toward each other up underneath the body. Left knee variation if you want. Right hand to the hip, rotating around. Pressing through the heel and extending out the crown of the head. Keep the legs sweeping toward each other. And then we'll release that. Step back, down dog. Inhale forward, shift to plank. And exhale to the belly. Roll, pull, and press to your cobra. And then release, down dog. Stepping forward with the left foot. Bringing your toes to your fingers again, adjusting anywhere you need to adjust. Sweep the legs, left hand to the hip, rotating around here. And then release the twist. Step forward to fold. Halfway up. Back over again. Inhaling all the way up, reach to the ceiling. Exhaling the arms. Let's go one more. Inhale and lift. Into the fold. Halfway up. Right foot back into lunge again. So knee down variation if you're feeling a little wobbly here. Sweep the legs toward each other, climb up on the thigh. Lifting the upper body. Keeping the back leg straight, sink into your hips here. And the hands can stay, maybe interlace behind your back again, or extend up toward the ceiling, whatever you're feeling this morning. Let's release that over into our lunge again. Step back, down dog. Shifting forward into plank. Dropping down. Roll, pull, and press to cobra. And then back to our down dog. Stepping the right foot forward. When you're ready, climb on up. And then you decide what to do with the arms from here. Let's release it back over into our lunge again and step forward into fold. Halfway up on an inhale. Exhaling over. And then coming all the way up. And release the arms. All right, so enough of those. Let's go ahead and take a nice big step back with the right foot. We're gonna move into warrior two. So let's bend into the left knee. Make sure you see your left big toe beyond your knee, stacking knee and ankle. Extend the arms. Shoulders over hips. Feeling even on your feet. Take another big breath. And then bending the left arm, bring the forearm to the thigh, take the right arm up and over the ear. So stretching through your right fingertips. Imagine stacking your right shoulder on top of your left. Still feeling even on your feet here. If you lean all into this left foot, ground the back foot. Let's go ahead and bring the right hand to the hip. And take a block if you want to block here. Hand in front of the foot, hopping the right toes in until you can take all the weight into the left foot and lift the right. So ideally here, the foot is hip height. The hips are stacked one on top of the other. The shoulders are stacked. Maybe the right hand lifts and you look at the ceiling. Maybe you're just happy not to fall on your face. And that's good too. Take another big breath. Hand back to the hip. We'll bend back into the knee, come into our angle. And then back to warrior two. Stepping back to the top of the mat. All right, so now you're going second side. So make your feet where you need them to be. When you're ready, bending into the knee, adjusting from here. You're never stuck in cement. So if you feel like you need to move in or out of a pose at any point, extending the arms. Taking it into our angle, so bend the right arm, left arm up and over the ear. Lean, let the arm dangle, let the arms kind of hang here on the thigh. You can always take a walk as well. Bring the left hand to the hip. Walk or no, in front of your right foot, hopping in, and you can just pick it up off the floor and go from there. But hop in until you can lift the left toes. So finding your balance, feeling the body kind of stack on top of itself. Take another big breath. And then bend back into the knee, back to our angle. And to warrior two. Releasing that to step back to the top of the mat again. So let's go ahead and stretch the arms up. Give yourself a big inhale. Exhale, take it back over into your fold again. Let yourself hang a moment. And then let's step back into down dog. So 4 corners of the hands, even on the mat. The middle finger points forward, and here where our elbow creases face each other, right? You see this? Keeping your hands planted. Rotate your elbow creases more toward the top of your mat. So there's an outer rotation of the upper arm bone. We're gonna bend the elbows and drop down to the forearms. Then drop your knees and sit back in child's pose. Body doesn't like to do it backwards, does it? So resting here, your hands can be back by your heels if you prefer. And then we're gonna work into our shoulders a little bit here. So let's come forward out into that forearm position. So look at your forearms. I find this in class all the time, and I'm giving the cues that the elbows are up underneath the shoulders and forearms are parallel to each other, right? So hopefully you can see my forearms pretty well. And what I see in class is this. This is not the same, right? You'd agree? So be real honest with yourself. It's okay to be honest with yourself. This is parallel, right? Or pretty much anyway. This is not. The hands are where they're supposed to be, but that's not the same. So take a moment and give yourself a break. You don't have to be perfect, but you do want to be aligned, right? Pressing down into the forearms, the 4 corners of the hands. This is work. This might be a real big sensation in your shoulders. So let it be. It doesn't have to be super fancy with all the bells and whistles just to get up with your arms all crazy, jeopardizing your shoulders. It's not that important. So finding your foundation. If you press down into your forearms and imagine pulling them toward each other up underneath the body, you are working, right? You feel that? So it doesn't have to be any bigger than that. If you want to lift your knees, pressing your chest back toward your thighs, sinking into your heels, maybe looking up between your elbows, you're going to feel sensation. No matter how high you go, no matter how deep you are into the pose. Sensation is what you're looking for. Bigger sensation does not mean better. It might mean injury, and that is definitely not better. Go ahead and drop on down to the knees, set on back in child's pose again. And we certainly want our shoulders to be flexible. We want to avoid injury, but we want them to be strong as well, which will further help avoid injury. So come on up. It's all about how these things apply to the real world, because you can stand on your head, but how does that help you in life, right? It doesn't really. It's fun, but it doesn't really help you in life. These sort of things do. Well, it can, but that's for another day. Press down into your forearms, pull them together up underneath, make sure your belly's working. You can adjust your hands, right? Maybe taking the fingers to interlace. If they're sliding together, just interlace your fingers, right? And then keeping it simple here to begin, with an exhale, bring your chin towards your thumbs, and then press back, right? You can inhale forward and then exhale back, wherever wherever the breath will work with you is basically what you want to do. And it can be super simple, forward and back here. The forearms are pressing down and pulling toward each other up underneath the body. If that is too simple, you lift your knees and do the same thing. And you can take a couple up off your knees, a couple back down on your knees. You can rest in child's pose. Take one more of whatever variation you're working. And then drop on down and rest back in child's pose. If you hadn't already. So remember here, you can do what you need to do. So maybe just lifting up into that stationary position is where you want to work. You can be on your knees forward and back. You can be off your knees forward and back, or you can go here. So bring your elbows up underneath your shoulders, forearms either out into Sphinx or interlaced out front. If it makes sense for you, use that block, right? That'll keep your hands from squeezing toward each other, maybe, right? So play with it. Find where you want your forearms to be. Press down, pull together up underneath. Find that action supporting your lower back. If you're moving into the next step, lift your knees away from the floor. Keep your chest pressing back so the shoulders stay over the elbows. And instead of coming forward and back with your upper body, walk your toes closer to your elbows and then back again. So the lower body comes in and out. And of course, just like any time, you can switch in and out of things. Maybe that's enough and you come down and come forward and back with your upper body. Don't add the shoulders coming forward with the hips coming forward, or you could end up jerking up your back or falling over on your back. And either of those things are not good, not where you want to be. So take just a couple more of any variation you want to work. And then when you're ready, drop on down to the knees, sit back in child's pose again. Maybe taking the hands back by the heels, letting your shoulders fall forward. Sometimes that'll let the arms rest a little bit deeper than before. And remember, you can even prop in your child's poses. So extend the arms back out and make your way back to your down dog. Let's step the left foot forward and come into a lunge. And we'll drop on down to the back knee. So we want to keep the knee over the ankle and the hips pretty square here. Allow your hips to descend, extending out through the crown of your head. If this is a great big stretch, stay here. Otherwise, maybe the left hand to the inside of the left leg. So the knee stays over the ankle, yeah? Hips are square. What would happen if you started to bend into your elbows? Lower your belly. So you could lower your elbows to the floor, right? But that's not really doing much for your hips maybe, right? So if you just lower your hips toward the floor of your belly, if you're thinking like that, then your whole body descends and you really get the bigger sensation. You can prop here, right? Props are super valuable, no matter where you need them. So keep the knee hugging into the shoulder so the knee stays over the ankle. Your hips are descending. You're breathing, right? You can turn your, or take the sole of your, top of your foot flat to the floor. Press down into that leg. Does that change it up a little bit? tons of ways to modify things to feel a little bit maybe deeper, maybe just different sensation. We're all a little bit different. We're tighter in one area versus another. So play with modifications and see what's best for your body any given day. So let's climb back up and make our way back to down dog. So switching sides, bring the right foot forward. Drop your back knee to the floor. And so again here, just simply sink into your hips, hug the knee in, lifting your chest. Nice little stretch. So if you want a little bit more or a little different, you hug in here, right hand to the inside. If you want to see what happens, bend into the elbows. So the elbows to the floor is great, but not if it backs up your hips or shifts you weirdly to the side. So if you need to lean, walk. Keep the chest lifting. That'll help the spine from rounding. It'll allow the hips to sink in a little bit deeper maybe. Take the hands where they need to be. Again, this is not about where your hands or your forearms go. One more breath. Gently release that. Make your way into your lunge and then step back to your down dog. Dropping down to the knees. Go ahead and sit back on your heels. Take one more child's pose. And then come to sit back up on the heels again. So maybe this is a more comfortable place at this point, and maybe it's not still. So if you want to prop, certainly prop. If you want to go deeper, you can open your feet a little wider and set your hips right down or your bum right down on the floor, not necessarily your hips so much. So same idea, make yourself comfortable here. If this is still not doable, you drop down to your seats. We're just going to stretch our shoulders, so this is not vital. Right? So let's take the left hand between the shoulder blades, putting the elbow as much to the ceiling as you can. You can take your right hand and help it, if that works for you. Take your right hand then behind your lower back, climb up your spine, and see if your fingertips will meet. So you can use a towel here to walk your hands closer together. It's, again, up to you how much you want to prop. Just kind of reaching in that direction will give you the stretch. So if your hands don't touch, they don't touch. If they never touch, they don't. Just working the flexibility here. Sitting tall. Take one more breath. We're going to release that. Curl around a little bit, just because sometimes that feels good. And then take your second side. So the right hand between, pointing the elbow up, and then the left hand crawling up the spine. And maybe the fingers meet here. Sometimes one side is very different than the other. As long as you're feeling a stretch, it's right. Try not to let your chest lift overly and twist to the side just to find your fingers. Just find a nice neutral spine and sit tall. One more breath. And gently release. Give them a roll. And then come around onto your bottom and extend your legs. So let your knees bounce, let your feet wiggle around. Sort of like rolling it onto our shoulders before, same idea with your legs. So sitting well here, taking inward thigh rotation. Belly in, chest lifted, we're gonna reach the arms. Hinge forward from the hip. And find your fold. And similarly here, the hands touching the toes is not the goal. Stretching into the hamstrings, keeping the shoulders back. Nice big breath. With the inhale, come on up again. And release the arms. From here, let's grab the left foot. We're going to take the sole of the foot, maybe to the crook of the elbow. If it won't make it there, support the outside of the ankle, maybe with your hand or somewhere up on your forearm. So we want to keep that foot flexed so the ankle is neutral and we don't go too far. You're going to support the knee, the same idea. Maybe with your hand, maybe with your elbow. And then sit up tall, and that might be a tough spot. So keeping the chest lifted, you can bring the foot up and in for more or less sensation. Allow yourself to kind of wiggle into it. And after you wiggled around a little bit, see if up and in is maybe more accessible. Maybe yes, maybe no. And then we're going to release that left foot and do the same thing on the right side. So the right foot, sole of the foot to the crook of the elbow. As long as the ankle is neutral, that's what you're looking for. Support the outside of the knee as well. And then up and in, wherever up and in is over here. Sitting up really tall. Wiggling around. And see where the sensation is. Sometimes it's more with the foot to the outside. Sometimes it's just up. Sometimes it has to be a little bit further away. Play, right? Because you might be able to go up and in like crazy, but then this out is where the sensation is for you. And then release that side. So sitting nice and tall here again, making sure that your belly is working. Take this in pieces and see what happens. I know you guys who know me are kind of on up. Right? But listen to your body. That's the most important piece. We're going to take the left foot again, and instead of flexing the foot, right, so that it's at that right angle, do what they call floint. Right? So I call it a Barbie foot. You know how Barbie's always ready for a high heel, right? That's her foot. It's not a point and it's not a flex. It's in the middle. So the heel as tight into the belly button as it will go, whatever that looks like. And then you want to set that foot down on top of the right thigh. This might be just way too much, either for your ankle, your knee, your hip. And if it is, you're on the inside. You could probably prop, right? If that's accessible to you. The idea, of course, is to get this knee to the floor. That may never happen. And you don't want to force it. You don't want to let the foot flop over just to get the knee down, right? So work in pieces. Find where is enough. And this may very well be enough. See if you can pull the right heel in front of the left knee. So again, your goal is to get the left knee on the floor. If you slide the foot underneath it, it can't come to the floor.
ever, right? How's that? What if you could take this right foot as a unit, grab at the ankle rather than your toes, again, to keep the ankle neutral. Pull it up and over. So yes or no? Anywhere you are, you're feeling sensation in your hips, right? If you're feeling your knees or your ankle, that's probably something went wrong, right? So just listening to your body, finding enough, whatever it ends up looking like. No one's here to see you anyway, right? Take one more breath. Release what you got here. Extend your legs out long. Maybe wiggle them around a little. And then guess what? Side beat. So, right foot. Again, that kind of flointed position. You bring the heel to the belly button and set the foot down on the opposite thigh. Or to the inside. So the same idea here. And your body is not always even everywhere. So if this does not look like the other side, that's normal. Left heel, maybe in front. Keep the ankle neutral. Keep your pelvis rooted, nice and tall here. See what happens. Grabbing the left foot, ankle really, and maybe up and over. How do you feel? Could you sit here for an hour and meditate? Not me either. So release all of that. And extend your legs. Bounce them around a little bit, wiggle. Let's take our feet flat to the floor. Hang on to the hamstrings. Round your spine and roll on down to your back. Let the knees come to the chest, gently rock. Let's bring the feet flat to the floor. Allow the soles of the feet to come together. Let the knees fall open to the sides. Rest into that inner hip. Releasing your belly. We'll bring the knees back together. Go ahead and open your arms into a T. And you can take any variation you want here. Maybe simply just drop the knees over to the right. If you want to tuck the hip under, cross the legs, take them straight, add that variation. One more nice big breath here. And then we'll come back to center. And whatever variation you did to the right, do to the left. One more big breath over here. And then gently make your way back to the middle again.
Drawing the knees back in. Allow yourself to rock again a little. And then squeeze the knees in nice and tight. Forehead pulling toward the knees, rounding up through your spine. Releasing that into a full body stretch. Release the stretch and let your arms come down by your sides. Take as long as you need to get comfortable. Feeling aligned. And then resting back into the mat. Coming back solely to your breath again. Release control. And maybe the most challenging thing you've done yet is to release control of your thoughts. If something wanders in, let it wander right back out. Stay present and relaxed. Just giving yourself the time to rest. To gently deepen your breath. Restore small movements of the body. Gradually allowing yourself to move and stretch. And when you're ready, take the feet flat. Gently roll to the side. And slowly make your way back up to seated. Bringing the palms to touch. Bowing to the light within. Namaste. Happy Saturday, you guys. So I hope your joints feel really loose and relaxed, but strong, right? Feeling strong. So thanks for practicing with me today. It was a pleasure to be here. And remember to peek over on the website and find the new additions as they pop up. Remember, you can contact me at any time, ask me questions, throw in suggestions for our practice on Saturday mornings or for something special as well. All right, have a great weekend, you guys, and I hope to see you in person or here soon. Bye.